Well, Bill, when he showed up at the White House, he had actually brought a list of insults Trump had said about him and gave it to Trump. And what did he do? He signed it, which is very Trumpian. And they laughed and they laughed. Kudos.
You're going to hear everything you want to hear.
Do you think, I know Bill loosely. I've been on his show many times. I really do think he can't stand President Trump. I mean, he truly has got like a sincere case of the TDS. But he did this, which was extraordinary. So do you think there's any chance he comes out liking Trump?
Knowing Bill Maher's values, it's unlikely. I do think that they have some common ground.
Yes, Megyn Kelly sat down with Anna Kasparian in an interview. They talked about Maher's visit to the White House. If you've been following this channel, you realize I did a whole segment about it where I elaborate, share my views on what is going on. I've been following this for a very long time. Kid Rock released a clip on Fox News where I realized what actually happened inside the White House. Maher went with a list of insults Trump has poured on him for the past years, and Trump did not hesitate. He signed it. So it is important I show you people's reaction to this segment.
It could not have been better. Everyone was so surprised, so pleasant. The most shocking thing to me was, Bill's obviously a very big liberal, been very hard on the president, but he's donated a lot of money to other politicians. You've had Biden, Clinton, Obama, everybody. He had never been to the White House, and the president was so gracious. He took us up to the private residence. We saw the Gettysburg Address in the Lincoln bedroom, and I was like, "You've never been here, Bill?" And I was like, "How about this, President Trump, extending this olive branch," and we talked about things we had in common, ending wokeness, securing the border. The president was asking him what he thought about policy, going on with Iran and Israel and things. It just meant it blew my mind. It was, right. I was, very, very proud.
Amazing. And by the way, it was also added that Maher showed up with a list of terrible things that Trump had said about Maher. And he showed it, I guess, to President Trump, who signed it and gave it back to him. Wow. Classic. Anyway, yeah. So what do you make of it? Because the left is very unhappy with Bill for doing this. I don't know that the right is loving it either, but I think they're used to Trump doing this now because he's had a parade of liberals come to him, from big tech people to media people. So what's your take on it?
Well, I have some experience with this, not necessarily meeting with Donald Trump, of course, but, the culture where you're not supposed to talk to the other side at all. I mean, I've lost friends for my willingness to come on shows like this one, because I think it's important to have these conversations. I do think that there are areas of common ground. It doesn't mean you need to be a Trump supporter, but Trump is the president of the United States, meaning he's meant to represent everyone, including individuals who did not vote for him. And if the left in general is unwilling to even have a conversation with anyone on the right, including the president, well, how are you ever going to expect him to consider the issues that matter the most to you? So I actually think opening up dialogue with individuals you disagree with is more important than just existing in this echo chamber where you're going to hear everything you want to hear, where your ideas are going to be validated, and quite frankly, where the lack of challenge to your ideas will make you quite weak and unappealing eventually to the electorate.
Do you think, I know Bill loosely. I've been on his show many times. I really do think he...
Yes, Maher will release a video about this, I think tomorrow on Saturday. I think I'm going to follow that up to show you what exactly is going on. Libras don't like this. They are freaking out. Some say, oh, they should unsub on Maher. They should not follow him again because of the... Maher knew that this is coming, and he made it clear, I don't give a F. Yeah, he has passed that area, people coming out to tell him what to do. What I know for sure is that Maher will always be the same. He's having his segment on Saturday. You will still look at him, see how he's going after Trump. Nothing will change. It's like taking Jimmy to visit the White House. There will always be Libras. Yeah, that is what I know for sure.
I really do think he can't stand President Trump. I mean, he truly has got like a sincere case of the TDS. But he did this, which was extraordinary. So do you think there's any chance he comes out liking Trump?
Knowing Bill Maher's values, it's unlikely. I do think that they have some common ground because of the fact that Bill Maher is willing to call out some of the pathologies on the left, some of the cultural issues on the left, the closed-mindedness and stuff like that. So I think that finding that common ground is important. And I think that's what kind of opened up this situation where they can sit down and have a conversation with each other. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Bill Maher is going to be like a red hat wearing Trump supporter tomorrow. It just means that at least he had a dialogue. Maybe he's better suited to understand where Trump is coming from and vice versa. It's just an important thing to do when you have two major public figures who disagree with each other come together. And I think what Kid Rock said about the importance of healing the country is very much true. Again, you have two very different sides, but is there a way that the two different sides can work together where they have common ground and also not engage in this really disgusting fear mongering and dehumanization that we've seen in this country for the last several decades in regard to the other side? We need to get past that because we need to bring Americans together. I hate the fact that we've been dehumanizing each other for so long.
I'll tell you a funny story of how I met Kid Rock. It was 15 years ago. I was hosting an afternoon show on Fox called America Live. And I would go through the show email while on the air, like during the commercial breaks, and the audience would write in and kept it interactive. And an email popped up saying it was from Kid Rock and that he was in town in New York that night for his birthday and was wondering if Doug, my husband, and I could come. And it said where the party was. And it just had the ring of truth because it was specific. It had Doug's name, blah, blah. But I was also like, this has got to be bullshit. So I forwarded it to my booker and I was like, can you see if this is real? Because I actually am a fan of Kid Rock's. And so she got back to me and said, it's real. So that night, Doug and I went to this little bar that Kid Rock was having his birthday party in. We walked in, he was sitting there, he looked at me, he goes, holy shit, it worked. And we became friends ever after. So I really like him a lot. And he's gone, he's very pro-Trump now and he's MAGA, but he really was a political independent who was very open-minded. I would put him closer to like a Joe Rogan, who was maybe in a lot of ways more blue in his politics, but then we all lost our love and minds as a culture. And he's Kid Rock, for God's sake. I mean, there's zero chance that he is going to go woke. And that, among other issues, I think drove him into the arms of Donald Trump and MAGA.
Yes, I just enjoy what Anna said here. Nothing but the truth. Democrat believes that if you are one of them, you should not associate with people on the other side. I don't know if we are still in 1980s where politics were like this. Things have changed. You should be able to sit down on conversations with people you disagree. She said something that drew my attention. I think I said this on one of my videos. Trump is the president to everyone. No exception. There is no campaigns again. So I don't get the point why B should not visit the White House. I saw a lot of people disagree, especially conservatives, like, oh, Trump should not allow this happen. Trump made it clear, like, I'm not really okay, but it is necessary. Especially Laura Loomer, she burned down because she's having a lawsuit against Maher, but that should not be the case. I don't really want to go further into this. I want to know your thought into this whole situation because a lot of people argue with me on the comment sections every single time I bring this up.
I mean, you bring people in, you don't push people out.
I totally agree with that. And I do think there's a reason for it. I think it's because people who are on the right spend their whole lives dealing with people who disagree with them. That's just society, while it's split, 50-50 or 55-45, depending on the era, Dem and Republican. And now that Republicans have the edge these days. But overall, liberals control the institutions. They've controlled the media for a long time. They control Hollywood. They control big sports. They control big corporations. So if you're a conservative or even just center right, like you have to deal with them everywhere. And K through 12, not to mention college education, my God, Everyone's liberal, and they want you to be too. So you either need to like be able to talk the talk or be able to politely engage. And as I always say, not make that the stakes of your friendship if you're talking about actual friends, because in where I grew up, you'd have no friends if you only waited for conservatives to come into your life, right? Like I was living on the Upper West Side of Manhattan for the past.
That is the truth, Megyn Kelly. I appreciate this whole segment. It actually enlightened me to a lot of things I didn't know. I want to appreciate people who support me every single day, sharing out my videos. God bless you abundantly. If you notice, the channel is not getting recommendations, and that is not ever a stopping factor. I can't stop. I will continue to update you on things happening in around you every single day. Please always share the videos. If you see my notification, click in and I will appreciate you.
Best. And what do you do when you share the risk? It causes other people to share the risk too. So both of these guys had something to lose, but they put their egos aside because they realized there's nothing to lose at all once you put your egos aside. And because Kid Rock was able to take the risk, they all decided to take the risk.
All right, tell us what happened.
Finally, new rule to those on the right who keep asking me, Bill, you're so good at roasting the woke nonsense peddlers. Why don't you go all the way and join us? Let me give you the short answer, because I don't want to live in North Korea.
Cool Bill Maher off a little bit. I like it.
Yeah. Jeff Paul.
We talk so much about people not communicating, when they don't agree on something. And this is a perfect example of two people who don't agree about a lot, but on some stuff getting together. And
I'm starting at the end of the month. I'm taking Bill Maher to the White House for dinner. This guy's done nothing but talk smack about the president since day one.
You're going to meet with the president.
I am.
So Kid Rock makes it happen. What do you think has been the response so far?
Just for the YouTube algorithm, I usually add, you can end here if you want.
About free speech.
Dribble his genius.
Fired as host of this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. The Correspondents Association president, Eugene Daniels, said the decision was made to take the focus off the politics of division and concentrate on honoring outstanding journalists.
The Trump administration is not scoring any points in international diplomacy these days. Duh. For one thing, he's shipping J.D. Vance up.
It looks like the Trump administration isn't exactly getting the heroes.
Call him and probably get an interview with him now and sit down and discuss things, and then that's how you heal. That's how.
This is a Fox News alert, a crushing blow for Democrats who had hoped against hope.
Brad Schimmel, that has included Elon Musk pouring tens of millions of dollars.
I think you saw a repudiation of the fact that.
I do think the Republican takeaways tonight are going to.
The margin right now, Randy Fine in the lead with 53.7% of the vote against